What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another edition of Freedom Fridays, where we have a special guest, a wildly successful guest, and we get to take the time as a community to pick her brain and figure out how she was able to attain the success she attained, how she was able to overcome the adversity she has overcome, and pass down some knowledge to the people who are on this call and the people who are going to watch this recording so that they can learn, right? We understand this concept as wave makers, that knowledge is being able to learn from your mistakes. Wisdom is being able to learn from the mistakes of others, right? So I'm super excited. I'm super humbled that, the 24 of you want to plug into this call with us. And it gives me the honor to introduce our guest speaker, Miss Ruthie Bolton. Ruthie is a two-time Olympic gold medalist, a two-time WNBA All-Star, and she is a motivational speaker. She tours the country. We couldn't be more blessed to have her on this call. She's way out of our league, right? But she decided to take this time to come share with the wave makers and engage and allow us to pick her brain. So Ruthie, why don't you come on and say what's up? And why don't you take about 3 to 5 minutes and just kind of share your story and share where you've been and the things that you've done with your life and what you're doing now.
Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm thankful to be on here. Thank you for for you all for allowing me to share for a few minutes. And I'm just, I give you greetings from a family of 12 girls and 8 boys. My mom and dad, I always have to give them their props. They raised 20 kids, 12 girls, 8 boys, and I'm the 16 of 20. So I'm thankful. Thank God they didn't stop at 15. I would have been left out. So I'm the 16 of 20. And I'm just thankful. I grew up in a very rural town in Mississippi, McLean, very small town. And my dad taught some principles. I was a PK kid. My dad's a minister. And talked about 3 things that sums up an individual: faith, attitude, and hard work. And I will hear him say these things quite often, but these things really start to become very relevant in my life as I continue to pursue life. Faith, attitude, and hard work. And I'm so thankful my dad was obedient to God, that he really pushed us and made sure that we understood what it means to be born again. And he just really gave me this platform. And my dad also talked about, very practical, that life is 10% what happens to you and 9% how you respond to it. And this quote was on every door in the house. Right? It was just amazing that he had this wisdom and this knowledge and just to guide us and lead us. And I'm just thankful for that. And the story I tell real quick, and this story embodied who I am in my whole career, because I don't have time to go into details, but I grew up in the South and try to jump this fence. And this fence, I was a tomboy. I didn't like cooking. I didn't like being inside. I wanted to stay outside and play with the boys. So this one day, I had jumped these fences before, but this one particular day, as I tried to jump this fence, I could not. When I got to it, it seemed like it got taller and taller. So I was like, okay, just relax. You got this. So I took steps backward and I ran to it again. And seemed like when I got to the fence, it got even taller. And I'm like, what is going on? So I took a deep breath again. I said, shake it off. You got this. You got this. And I got ready to run to the fence again. It was even taller. I'm like, what is going on? And so I could see my siblings and my relatives saying, come on, don't worry about it. We lived on about 10 acres and a lot of fences. But that particular day, fear was paralyzing me. Fear was setting in. And so I pondered with that fence for about 10 or 15 minutes. The street light came on, which means we had to go inside. At that moment, we had to go inside. So I did not want to go inside. I'm thinking like, man, this is the worst day of my life. I hadn't jumped that fence. I felt so unaccomplished. And they were telling me like, what's the big deal? We know you jumped it before. Don't worry about it. We told you to just come on. I said, no, I got to jump over this fence. And sure enough, I slept through the night. The next morning, me and that fence, and the man upstairs, I went out there. I said, I know I can do that. And I said, Lord, I know I got this. I got this. And I closed my eyes and I saw myself jumping over this fence. I saw myself celebrating. The obstacles were, at first, the day before, it was like all I saw was expense. The next day, I saw me getting over it. I saw me celebrating. So sure enough, I closed my eyes. I run, leap. I jumped over the fence. I landed on my backside, but at least I made it over. And I celebrated on the grass looking up like, wow. Why was that moment important to me? There weren't any cameras. ESPN wasn't there. The Olympic Committee wasn't there. The Hall of Fame Committee wasn't there. That was just me and that fence. Why was that moment important? It's like I wanted so bad to get over that fence, and it meant something to me. When you know what your why is, you could do some amazing things. When you lose your why, you lose your way. That moment, without even knowing it, at 14 years old, I started embracing my Olympic journey. That moment changed my life forever. That moment pivoted me in a direction. It built something inside of me where I didn't have anything to prove. There wasn't peer pressure. It was something inside of me that meant so much to me. So as you embrace your why in life, it might not make sense to anybody else, but your why, when you know your why, it will propel you into things. It will help you develop what your purpose is. So that moment changed my life forever. It prepared me for when I didn't get recruited and I had to ride a bus 10 hours to the only school gave me a chance to play and said that I wouldn't play in my senior year. It prepared me for that. It prepared me for as I started to embrace I wanted to play for a national team, didn't get invited, had to pay my own way to go. I have 175 athletes. They're only going to choose 24. It looked very scary. But when you know what you're working with, when you know what's on the inside of you, it's something where would just elevate you. And that's what that did. That experience it helped me just make decisions as I prepare through my career. And also to my father's words saying, daughter, I believe in you. Daughter, you got this. And he would call me daughter because he couldn't remember my name most of the time because it was 12 girls. He would call me daughter. But I'm just so thankful that my father spoke. He spoke into my life. You know, not only did he pray for me, but he encouraged me and he lifted me up. He made me believe that I could fly. He was the wind beneath my wings. And that's why I'm such a huge, that's why I'm so, it's so important for me now to do. And I know I speak of my father-in-law, but if you're out there and you don't have the father that I had, you know what, there's someone, God will bring someone in your life. If it's not your mother, if it's not your siblings, it could be a coach, it could be a teacher, it could be someone in your life. And I really believe that God cares enough for us that he's going to place somebody in your life that want to help boost, that want to help you, that want to be your wings, the wind beneath their wings. And I'm just thankful that my career, what I did, it's bigger than me. My purpose now is way bigger than me. And the gold medals, the Hall of Fame trophies, the All-Star, that means nothing. If I can encourage some young girl to not drop out of school, if I can't encourage some young man to not get on drugs, to not use drugs, or I know I might not be able to help everybody, but I'm gonna do my darndest to try to help as many people as I can. And so and when I share with them, when I go to school, speak, or I go to churches, I said, listen, I'm not here trying to take me off this pedestal. All that stuff, the hoopla, that means nothing, right? It's about right now. It's about you. And it's about me using my platform to inspire you and to empower you and remind you of your greatness. In spite of what people say to you, in spite of what people try to label you, I'm not good enough, or I never make the college, I'm dumb, I'm whatever. I said, all those things, take those labels off. That is not you. Do not give your power away by believing that. And I'm thankful that when people told me I wasn't good enough, when people told me I wasn't good enough, I'm glad. I almost believed them, but my dad leaned over and whispered to me, say, you got this. If you keep a good attitude, you keep your faith strong, keep good attitude and work hard, you're gonna climb mountains. You're gonna do some amazing things. And I'm thankful that my father gave me no words of wisdom because it stuck with me. It's for a lifetime. It's been with me and it will continue to be with me. I keep them in my pocket.
Wow.
So,
what an intro. I'm fired up. I love that. That has by far been the best intro in the 3 months that we've been doing these calls. So cheers to you. I'm super fired up about faith, attitude, and hard work, right? The big three, yes. Faith, attitude, and hard work. And I swear you grabbed my soul when you said, when you lose your why, you lose your way. I think that is so powerful, and it's so easy in the world that we live in to just get distracted with things that do not matter. Like we just stress and create anxiety, and we just like, you got this big dream and then it's like this little fly that grabs your attention and all of a sudden leads
Yes.
you completely in the wrong direction. So I appreciate what you're bringing to the table. So now's the fun part, right? Me and my best friend, Nick, we are yin and yang. We are complete opposites. We get to go back and forth and ask you some questions. You know, let's try to keep them condensed so that at the end of the call, we have enough time for, there are a lot of women that I know are going to want to engage with you after the recording, but I'm going to start us off. Here's my question, and I don't know why it just came to my soul right before we got on this call. What were some of the moments in your life that you wish you had been more present in? What were some of the stages of your life and your growth and your journey that, looking back, you wish that you had been more in the moment instead of, you know, looking ahead at what's next?
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that, because I'm a person of I got short-term goals, and I think about, I think about sort of where I'm at, and I'm for a task at hand. And I would say it was probably later in my career that I wish that I had when I as a little girl, and I really focus on, and I'm gonna say this because this is important. When I was a little girl, when I grew up in the South and I grew up at home, I was sort of a short-term goal person. I thought about every day, how can I be better today? How can I be a better person today? And that's what I focused on. I didn't know anything about the Olympics. I didn't know anything about the world. I just knew that if I'm in the backyard climbing trees, I want to be the best at climbing trees. If I'm jumping fence, I want to be the best at jumping fences. If we playing marbles, I want to be the best at playing marbles. Even when I played football, hey, listen, I played football with my brother, and I did it when my parents were gone. They didn't want me to play, but I did. Right then, my backyard was my battleground, was my battlefield. And I know that sometime in the process, we want to jump too far ahead. And I would say that's one thing that I was really good at, is trusting the process and just like, hey, I don't know. I don't need to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't need to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like right now, how can I be a better man? And so, and when I look back at my life as a little girl, like, man, if someone has showed me that I would be an Olympian, I probably wouldn't have believed it. Somebody told me that, are you going to be a world champion like me? That's why sometimes we look so far ahead at times. And I know that it's sort of reverse of what you asked me, but sometimes we look so far ahead. It is about how can it's growing, there's a process. And sometimes we don't trust the process. We never become what we want to become. And I remember even on that battlefield, I said, it wasn't anything that pretty in my backyards. I was preparing for something big and I didn't even know it, because I focused on trying to be the best part of me. Getting over that fence pivoted my life in a direction I never would imagine growing up. And so it's like all these little baby steps helped me so much, because I don't think my mind wasn't broad enough to really see the big picture. So as my career progressed, I started to look further. And there are times where even when I'm gonna think of basketball games, sometimes I think about, man, if I should just focus on like the game. But sometimes in a game I would think about, I would want to win so badly that I would just, and I learned through trial and error. There's times where I left the basic. I went away from the basic, which is I used to think about small term, like process. And then I would think about, I want to win this game. And then I would end up probably having the worst game, because I left on what the basics that helped me was all I got to focus on is playing defense. The winner take care of self, or boxing out, or rebound as a guard. I wanted to win to where I forgot about the small things. So I've had some tough losses, because I went away from the basics. But as my career progressed, I started to say, you know what? I got to go back to the basics, and I got to trust the process and not to think so far ahead. So I'm a quick learner. So I learned that is the better way to be successful, is to understand that the process and not get so caught up in the long-term goals, but look at like right now. And right now in my life now, I've been retired for 15 years, and I have to come back to make myself get back to the basics. It's like, you know what? I don't know what happened 3-4 years from now. I don't know even a year from now. But right now, how can I be a better me? How can I be the best mom I can be? I have 11 and an 8-year-old, and I have to just sort of like slow down. This pandemic has allowed me to just slow down, smell the roses, like, okay, just slow down, just clean out your purse, slow down, hear yourself think, seriously, and slow down. Look, we all a chef. It's like we got this inventory. It's a slow down, look at my inventory, see what's needed. I need to take some things out. I need to add some things. So I refuse to let this pandemic happen and me not become out of without me being a better person. So to answer your question, along is that I started off looking at the basics, and then sometimes I detoured and started thinking too far ahead, and I was less successful then. But when I coming back to the basics, like, hey, let's focus on right now, and that actually is huge in my life. And for my dynamic, for my DNA, I have to be that process of like, okay, let's take one day at a time, and that helps me tremendously. Sorry, it's a long answer, but.
That's amazing, Ruthie. I'm going to jump in here. Super grateful to have you with us. And you're an absolute powerhouse. And we can just feel it. We can feel it off of you. And we're super grateful. And drop a 3 in the chat, guys, if you're gaining value already. I mean, faith, attitude, and hard work. You saw yourself getting over that fence, right? You envision that. That's beautiful. And so I want to pick up something that you just dropped off at the very end here about the tough losses that you encountered, okay? And how you had to get back to the basics. What was one, maybe not if you can remember, the biggest struggle or one of the biggest struggles that you faced while on the journey of achieving some of the greatest accomplishments that people do in the world when it comes to sports? What were some of the struggles that you faced, or maybe one, and what was the internal work that you had to do in order to overcome that struggle and keep moving forward?
I in my journey, and I've had different phases of struggles, but in my career, I'm gonna throw in, and this is not basketball, but it was during my basketball that I went through domestic violence, and I went through domestic violence during the peak of my career. And I was so successful on the basketball court, but in my personal life, I felt like a failure. I felt like, I couldn't, I'm married to this man that's not happy. And I just said, God, I always prayed. I said, Lord, why are you blessing me? Why is basketball so great? And my personal life, it's just bad. And I don't know. I was young and I didn't know, but the basketball was my safe haven. It was a place I could control and I could soar. And I was asked the question, is that why I played so well during that time? And I think it is because that struggle, because as I share a little bit about my career, about, getting over that fence, about getting on that bus, about proving this coach wrong that said I wouldn't play in my senior year and I started my freshman year, about going to the national trials. And it was crazy. People said, they're not going to even notice you. But I went and I paid my own way to go. And out of 175 girls, they chose 24, which I was one of them. That was like unheard of, and how my career progressed. So I was used to, when I work hard, I get great results. But now I'm in a situation where I was working hard in a marriage that really could have killed me. It was a very violent marriage. And I just felt like, and when I would go to counseling and they would tell me to leave, I'm like, hey, I don't know how to quit. I don't know how to walk away. I'm like, I'm not paying you to tell me to divorce him. I'm paying you to tell me how to fix him. I'm not a quitter. It's not in my DNA to give up. That was one of the hardest places in my life. I didn't know if victory was staying or leaving, but I knew I did not want to lose. And I'm like, if I work a little bit harder, then I'm going to get there. I work a little bit harder. I'm going to win this. I know how to win. I did it in my career. I know how to win. When I work hard, results happen. We renewed our vows after the Olympics, and I actually renewed my vows with a black eye, okay? My complexion, it's hard for me to get a black eye. I had a black eye when I renewed my vows, but I still was determined to make it work. I still was determined because I'm like, I'm not a quitter. Don't tell me to walk away. It's not in my DNA. So that was the hardest thing I've had to endure during this time. It's like, and I'm just thankful that God just blessed me and took care of me and during this time, because it's just like, it's amazing. Like when I look back and I think about it, like, man, that was not the right way to win. I knew I wanted to win, but I was playing in danger. I was like a situation where, and the only way I got out of that I may add, is that I thought about somebody. I stood before the trash can and was going to throw my medals away. I said, I don't deserve these medals because I can't make my marriage work. I felt like this small. So I know what it feels like when I talk to girls about knowing your worth. I didn't know my worth, but basketball was a place I could hide, I could soar, I could elevate, that I had control of it. So I'm thankful that through that pain, my pain became my power. And that's my last book that I wrote, Turn Your Pain to Power. And I'm so thankful that I'm on the other side of that fear. I'm on the other side of that pain. And I'm flexing my muscles, and Mighty Ruthie is my name because I'm mighty. And not just because of these muscles, I'm mighty because I feel like I have maneuvered through adversity, because adversity make you bitter or better. And I chose that it made me better. Let me stop before I get emotional.
Wow. Wow. Well, cheers to you. I appreciate you being so transparent and so vulnerable with us. It's such a beautiful thing. You're so secure in yourself, and it's such an inspiration. I know the women on this call are getting so much value from just listening to your story and your strength and what you've been able to do. There was a quote that came in front of me like 2 days ago about, sometimes we think it's in the hanging on where where we show our strength. It's in the hanging on that we show our fight. And sometimes God is asking us to reveal our true strength in the art of letting go, right? And allowing life to happen to us, and not force life, but allow life to happen. So I appreciate you for sharing that. I would like to just pick at your brain a little bit. What is one thing, if you were to talk about a mantra, right? You gave us 3 from your father. What is one thing, Ruthie, that it's not about what we can remember. It's not about what we remember. It's about what we can't forget, right? What is one thing that you would attribute as like a mantra in your world, as like, this is something that I absolutely live and breathe and die for, is this one concept right here. And it could be elaborate, it could be a group, but I really want you to isolate one thing that would explain the power and the force that comes out of you and where it's coming from, right? What would that be for the people on the call?
It's interesting. I have a lot of those, but just remembering, and I know it sounds cliche, but my father, he says that if you take in life with you just a few principles, you won't have to carry your suitcase full of rules. If you take in life with you just a few principles, you don't have to carry a suitcase full of rules. And all those principles that he taught me, and I can remember just, like it was just yesterday, when I was not going to get on that bus, and my dad didn't make the decision for me, but it's like he just nudged me. It's like, you know what? He saw things I couldn't see, and this experience, it changed my life. It embodies who I really am. Getting on that bus, and even the coach that told me I wasn't good enough to play there. The coach that said that I won't play my senior year. Come find out, he said he was just being nice. He thought that was the stupidest thing in the world for me to show up. How many more ways can we tell you that you're not going to play? We didn't call you, and then you called us, and we told you you had to ride a bus for 10 hours, and you got on that bus. And then we tell you you're not going to play to your senior year. You're not going to make the travel team. He said, what is wrong with this girl? And me not knowing, I guess when you're going to do something in life, you got to be a little bit crazy. You got to be a little bit, think outside the box. You got to be a little bit, like I said, knowing your why. And my dad just being that pillow of comfort to me, that dad just making me believe I could fly. That's what I think about that, because that contributed to my whole life career. If I hadn't gotten on that bus, that's why my first book was named The Ride of a Lifetime, because that would have changed my life forever. If I hadn't gotten on that bus, the resentment. My dad asked me, he said, 10 years from now, if you think about this moment, what are you going to think about? Are you going to be mad at those schools that didn't recruit you? I said, yes. He said, Dad, you're giving your power away. He said, that ain't the right way to think. I'm like, Dad, are you on their side? He said, no, I'm just giving you some principle that's going to help you in life. And so when I look back and I think about all those principles that he taught me at every crossroad that helped me, that I'm like, wow, my dad was teaching me, and he would nudge me, but he didn't make those decisions. He stirred up something inside of me. And so to me, that is, it's a layer of things that's why I can't just pick. It's a layer of things that help me, because my dad could see things. And that's why I feel like in the Bible, it talks about to whom much is given, much is required. And I feel like that it's I am an extension of his ministry, that there is I have a responsibility of all the things that I've learned. That, but like when you given the Solomon in the Bible, he couldn't have anything he want, but he said, I want wisdom for my people. God gave him wisdom. And so that his responsibility was to share that. My responsibility, what I've had is to share it. That, but like if you make, I love cookies. They call me Cookie Monster. If I make cookies, and these are the best cookies in the world, and if the only person eating these cookies is Juba across the street, these cookies they're not getting out there. That's great, Junebug. I say Junebug because I have a nephew named Junebug. That's great that Junebug is eating my cookies, but the whole world needs my cookies. If my cookies are so great, everybody, the whole neighborhood, the whole people in another state need my cookies. And so I feel like with what I've gone through, the cookies are good to me. Junebug across the street is eating my cookies, but I need the whole world, as many people as possible, need to know that attitude will determine your altitude. The whole world needs to know that when you lose your why, you lose your way. The whole world needs to know that 3 things that sums up an individual is your faith, your attitude, and hard work. So it is in my everything to share and to really prepare the table as much as I can. That's why I'm in Minnesota right now. And that's why I have these necklaces on. I don't even have my gold medals on. I have these right here because the gold medals, they are great, but it's about how do I impact a life. These right here came from the reservation, and where God has put me to plant, it's on fertile ground. So I know that's a really long answer, but hey, you got to remember, I'm from a family of 20, and ESPN, when they did my 30 for 30, they was like, hey, we need more than 30 minutes. We need an hour. So they did a 60 for 60 because of what God has given me that I have to, and it's my responsibility is to share it. So in a nutshell, it's hard to just pinpoint one thing, but I'm just thankful that this journey that God has taken me on, I'm thankful He's chosen me, even in spite of what I went through in my marriage. All of that I take in stride, because in life, it's not where you're going, but it's how you get there. And my journey has been more important than my destination. And I'm glad that I don't have to look like what I go through. I don't have to look like my pain. I don't have to look like all those things I've gone through, because when I share them, it is not about being a victim. It's about being victorious. I'm sharing them. I share them in a spirit of overcoming, in a spirit of rising above, in a spirit of just knowing that I'm thankful that and gratitude that God has given me another lease on life to be able to share. So I rise above, and everyone that's listening, in spite of what you're going through, I give you permission to shine. I give you permission to soar. I give you permission to rise above, because you are greater than anything you will ever go through. God is greater than anything you'll ever go through. So rise above it and know that, and not just fly, soar. Don't just fly, because if you just fly, turbulence can take you down. But when you soar, you can use turbulence as a way to elevate you. Turbulence won't bother you if you're soaring. So I'm just thankful that God has just given me the platform, that He's chosen me to go through the valleys, the cross the river, to whatever. I have overcome, and I'm thankful. And my responsibility now is to share and to give to as many as I can, and I'm thankful for that.
Wow. And you're doing that right now, Ruthie. Truly, that we can feel your love. And one thing that I find so beautiful is that you are using these struggles, right? But you're finding the gift in them, right? All these things that you went through in life, you are now looking at them from a light perspective. And like you said, how it can make you bitter, it can make you better, you know? And we can see God working in your life, and it's so amazing that we get to witness that. So super grateful, truly.
Thank you. Thank you.
So my last question for you, this is a one that I asked last week, and I thought it was very interesting. It's a great question to really get not only for the person responding to think about it, but we are going to gain so much from this question right here, okay? So imagine you're this weekend taking a walk at the park. And when you're at this walk, or in this walk, you see a 20-year-old version of yourself. it's you. And you see that version of you. That version doesn't recognize that you are you or that you are them, but you do. And you have a few minutes to share just a few words of encouragement. I know you've already been doing that tonight, right? But like any last message that you will give to your 20-year-old self that could change maybe some, and also it will maybe help you stay in a better path, if you will. And maybe save you some headaches and hurts and pains that you went through, even though there were gifts. What would those words be?
Those words would be, you are worthy. You're worthy, that you have your own set of fingerprints, and that there's nobody in the world like you. Embrace your imperfections, and that you are unique, and that God has given you a platform. And I didn't share this before, but I was in a car accident when I was 18 years old. So I would say 18, and I knew I was a daddy's girl. Anytime my dad got ready to go, I would jump in the car. And my mom said, "You can't go to church. Your hair is a mess." I'm like, Dad said, "Just let it go." So I jumped in the back seat and we were headed to church. And it was about 5 minutes from our home. My dad got ready to make this left turn. And I looked and I saw this 18-wheeler coming. I said, "Oh my God, my dad turned too soon." I'm like, "Go, Dad, go." And we got hit by this 18-wheeler. It hit the back of the car. The car spun around 4 or 5 times. The door came off. I was thrown out the car. And I was thrown about 15 feet from the car. And they found me in a ditch. My hands were between this metal object and a Bible. Many people thought my dad has taken the Bible out the car and put it down there. They say I lay in that ditch for an hour. And my dad prayed like he never prayed before. They helicoptered me to the hospital. I spent one night in the hospital. And matter of fact, I went to my prom like 3 days later. But for me to survive that accident and not have anything major happen to me, and still, I look at that as that God was really trying to show me your footsteps has already been ordered. And your footsteps have already been ordered, and that I got way too many mountains for you to go climb over, too many valleys for you to go through. So God gave me another lease on life at that time. So as a little girl, I knew that God had a calling on my life, but I was still insecure, and I still was like, I would say, look in the mirror. It doesn't matter what you look like on the inside. I learned that later, but it's like God loves you in spite of what people's perception is of you. God loves you and He values you, and that's what I would have wanted to know the whole time. Like, it's like I got my own set of fingerprints. I had to go through my stuff to learn, but my dad was just me knowing that, because I was very insecure in college. I used to walk to class, and I'm 20 years old, to do a speech. And I was like, Lord, can somebody just shoot me right now? I do not want to speak in front of these people. Like, it's 25 people that I was terrified. I was so insecure and felt like I wasn't pretty enough. I felt like, I felt all this stuff that I was dealing with as a person, but I would just it would have been like, you know what, you okay. You might have a bad Jerry curl, but God loves you. You might, you might not look like anybody else, and you might not be, but there's something I got for you. There's something special in store for you. And we don't know those things. And I feel like if I had to call on early to what God had for me, I could have done more in basketball, and I could have done more. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm thankful that my eyes finally opened up, and that my dad was there. And I think that's why God had my dad so close to me, because He knew I needed him. He knew that, my dad was close to all of us, but I had a special relationship.
Hey, Ruthie, real quick, I think your hand's over the mic.
Okay.
Much better.
Okay, sorry. And I knew that my dad I feel like God put my dad in my life, in that, because He knew I needed that. I felt like I was being obedient, but He knew I needed my father. He knew my dad needed to be extra close and personal to me, so that I could hear. Because I dealt with all these insecurities, and I'm not pretty enough, I'm not good enough. I dealt with so much rejection. So I would say in a nutshell that I would tell myself, you know what, it's okay. In spite of your bad Jerry curl, God loves you. In spite of what it might look like on the outside, you are unique. You're valuable. And that's why I share it with girls all across the country. I've been where you are. I know what it feels like to look in the mirror, don't like who you see. I know what it feels like to feel like, why me? So I'm thankful that God allowed me to get through that. through the help of my father and my mom. My mom was a good cook. She made sure I ate well. But I'm just thankful that that God, the pattern, the road that God took me on, I might have did a detour. I might have got delayed, but not denied. That road, not delayed, but not denied.
Wow, that is so powerful. I'm literally jacked up over here. Drop some twos in the chat if you are absolutely loving this. If you are absolutely loving every minute of what's happening. And Ruthie, you know what was on my heart while you were sharing that was the disciples asking Jesus to calm the storm, and him saying, "Ye of little faith, if only you knew how powerful your God is, you wouldn't question any of it. If only you tapped into how powerful the creature that is standing behind you is, he could take that mountain and move it. If only you would believe that he could do it." Right?
Yes.
And it's so powerful to hear your story, and I love that. Look, we're so humbled. I am so thankful. These girls are looking at me like, Michael, you better open up this microphone so that I can ask questions.
Hey, yeah, girl power.
So
Girl
this
power.
is a beautiful opportunity for us to end the call, right? The recording. If you're watching the recording, keep coming back for more, right? We do calls on Monday for mindset. We do calls on Friday where we interview wildly successful people like Ruthie Bolton, and we dive into the word and scripture on Sunday. If you are not familiar with the word, if you do not have a relationship, I encourage you to come join us on Sunday. It is a very open environment. And I'm not pushing anything on you, but we just listened to one of the most powerful female speakers I've ever heard, and she attributes it all to Christ. She attributes it all to God. So there's got to be something in the water over there, right? Ruthie, you got one more thing you want to close out with?
Yeah. I don't know if Mikey has the link, but if anybody wants the ride of a lifetime or want Pain to Power, they can communicate me to the link that I sent Mike it's an email. I think it's Ruthie at myruthiebolton.com. But I sent it to him. So he can add it.
Absolutely. We're also going to drop the link to her books in the description of this video. If you're on our Telegram chat, it will be in the Telegram chat. But with that being said, we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank
we are
you.
the Wave Makers, and keep on coming back for more. Peace and love.
Peace and love.